I hope you can see the slides.
Yes, we
Please,
can.
you can see the slide. Okay.
Yes, we can.
I welcome you all.
Yes, I can.
Thank you. Please mute yourselves. Please remain muted to avoid clash. Everyone remain muted. Marriage counseling skills and techniques.
Is he doing all that? Or is it for real? My husband is in treatment on the very first day.
This workshop introduces us to the skills and techniques needed in marriage counseling.
Invites me literally everything I thought.
This presentation in this workshop aims to furnish marriage counselors and educators with the necessary marriage skills, marriage counseling skills, and techniques that will help them assist married couples who come to them for help. Marriage sponsors and catechists will also benefit from it. The presentation has 4 parts. First, we shall discuss marriage counseling in general. Second, we shall discuss the spirituality of the marriage counselor. Then proceed to discuss the skills or qualities that a marriage counselor should possess. We shall then conclude with 3 selected marriage counseling theories or techniques. Marriage counseling or couples therapy is a process of counseling married couples in an effort to better manage or reconcile troublesome differences and repeating patterns of stress. This usually takes place in sessions, which could be short-term or long-term. The short-term counseling may be between 1 to 3 sessions, while long-term counseling may be between 12 and 24 sessions. Marriage counseling usually includes both spouses. Somebody says you can't hear me. Marriage counseling usually includes both spouses, but there are occasions when a marriage counselor may need to work with only one of the spouses, and this is called individual counseling. This individual counseling may be a treatment approach for one partner if the other is unwilling to come to couples therapy. The goal of marriage counseling is to preserve marriage and family unity and not to destroy it. So dear counselors in the house, please take note of this, that the goal of marriage counseling is to preserve marriage and family unity and not to destroy it. When you finish counseling couples, ensure that you have added a particular value in their marriage and not to destroy the value. Now we look at the spirituality of a marriage counselor and marriage educator. In marriage counseling, there is a need to assess the spirituality of the married couples who seek help. Please remain muted. I have said that to avoid distraction, please. Everyone remain muted. Marriage counselors should ask couples questions that relate to their faith in God. But first, the counselor must be a person of faith. Every Christian marriage counselor and marriage educator should be first and foremost one who has a rich faith in God. A Catholic marriage counselor or educator should have a deep Catholic faith He or she should understand the church's teaching of marriage in order to counsel Catholic couples. He or she should be a prayerful person because there are marital issues that can be well solved only by prayer. If the marriage counselor or educator cannot pray well, he or she cannot help such couples. What you believe plays a role in your counseling. Your belief in God can be what you need to help the couple resolve their marital conflicts. Marriage counselors should ensure that they are on the right track in their own marriage. Being faithful in their own marriage makes them to be a model to those they counsel. Priests and consecrated persons who are marriage counselors and educators should be faithful to their own vocation and use their fidelity to teach couples how to be faithful in their own marriage. Qualities that every marriage counselor should have. A marriage counselor or marriage educator should receive the required training to offer couples counseling. Today, there are so many self-acclaimed marriage counselors, self-acclaimed marriage educators. One should be qualified to be called a counselor. Couples should choose counselors who are experienced in dealing with the couple's specific issues. This point is something that I want us to take note again. If you go to social media, you see many people who call themselves counselors, many of them are not satisfied counselors. And when you listen to what they teach about marriage, you see that those things do not represent what the church believes and teaches. That's why we should be careful when we are looking for a counselor who can help us, advise us on our marriage. We have to be careful. Know the person we go. It is important. I have to mute everyone again. I don't like this distraction. A marriage counselor should show compassion to both partners. He or she should not take sides. A professional counselor maintains neutrality. That is one of the things that you learn in a workshop or in a marriage counseling class, that you have to remain neutral as a counselor. You don't take sides. He or she should not allow one partner to speak for or interrupt the other. He or she should listen and respect the partners, should enable each person to be heard and to hear themselves. Recently, I was counseling a couple and I discovered that the man, was the person saying everything. Each time the wife wanted to speak, he will speak up on behalf of the wife. And sometimes you see the lady on the other part crying. And as a counselor, when you are helping married couples, it is important that you allow them to hear themselves and you don't let one person to speak on behalf of the other or to be the person interrupting the other. You have to be in charge. A marriage counselor maintains control of each section. He or she should be in charge of the session. You have to be in charge, because if you are not in charge, definitely your service should not be fruitful. Everybody wants to talk, and at the end of the day, you don't achieve what you want to achieve. A marriage counselor should be easily accessible. When people need you, when married couples need you, you should be there. And here it is important for me to state that you don't allow your clients, don't allow the couples to meet you anywhere they see you. When they see you in the church and they begin to talk to you about their marriage problem, give them appointments. Say, okay, can we meet so day? When you go to a doctor when you visit a doctor, you have a particular sickness, the doctor does not attend to you on the road, on the streets, in the church. The doctor gives you appointments. So shall it be with a marriage counselor. When someone needs you, they want to talk to you about their marriage problem, don't begin to counsel them on the road, on the streets. Give them appointments. Sit down, listen to them, let them talk to you. By so doing, your service will be fruitful, it will be productive. His or her charge should be affordable. Don't be a marriage counselor or a marriage educator that you are always conscious of the fee, conscious of the money, and you put a price that the clients, the couples cannot afford. That is not right, especially in our context as Christians, as Catholics. Let it be affordable so that you don't use your charge to scare them away. Now, let us quickly look at some selected marriage counseling theories or methods. There are many marriage counseling theories and methods. In this workshop, in this my presentation, I shall focus only on 3. And these are solution focused brief therapy, SFBT, rational emotive therapy, and cognitive behavior therapy.
Adedeji, are you
There
not going to
are
bait?
other
Eh?
there are other therapies that, please don't want this. There are more than 100 marriage counseling methods or techniques, but in this presentation, we shall focus only on these 3. The first is solution-focused brief therapy. This is a counseling method that does not dwell on the past failings and problems, but rather focuses on the couple's strengths and previous successes. The counselor can ask the couples what they have achieved together in their marriage and use this to unite them. This counseling method helps the couples realize that problems happen in marriage sometimes, but not all the time. Emphasis is on the future and not on the current problem. Counselors use this method to encourage couples to do more of what works for them and avoid what does not work for them. Couples are asked questions on how to solve the problems in order to have a better future. Discussion should be directed towards using their past success as strength to build a better future. Sometimes we encounter couples who experience crisis in their marriage, and they come to you as a marriage educator, they come to you as a marriage counselor, asking you to help them, resolve their conflicts. Using this method called solution-focused brief therapy, you don't allow them to dwell much on their problems. The woman begins to tell you how the man has been beating her every day. When they talk about this past problem, just take the points and don't dwell much on their problems. Now begin to look at their strengths. What are their strengths? What successes have they achieved in life, in their marriage? You use those strengths and success to help them know that they can really overcome their problem. The focus will no longer be on the problem, on the issues they have, but rather on how they can build on the success they have achieved. We have rational emotive therapy as the second method. Rational emotive therapy is a marriage counseling method that affirms that the problem that people face in marriage arise from their thinking and behavior. It emphasizes that wrong thinking leads to hurtful feelings and eventually bad behavior. Some of the wrong thinking that can affect one's marriage are as follows. I am not loved because I am not beautiful. My spouse does not care about me. Marriage counselors use rational emotive therapy to help couples change their wrong thoughts towards themselves and their spouses. Couples are helped to dispute their belief system. Counselors can help a spouse who thinks that he or she is unlovable to begin to think of all those who love him. In fact, I think that many marriage conflicts, marriage crises that we have in the society today, many of them have linked to irrational thoughts. Many of them have linked to what we call stinking thinking. Stinking thinking is having thoughts that are not really real, thoughts that, that are always negative, that have nothing to show in reality. When somebody begins to think the reason why her husband is doing this is because of the only thoughts. So rational emotive therapy helps marriage counselors to guide those who have crisis to change their thoughts, to help them come out of uh, these wrong thoughts. Because seeing who does not think well does not act well. Wrong thoughts often lead to bad behavior. When you are able to control what you think, it will help you to behave well, to act well in your marriage. Now we have the next one, which is cognitive behavior therapy. Just like the rational emotive therapy, this method acknowledges that wrong thinking can cause crisis in marriage, but it uses different approach to help couples resolve their crisis. Counselors, through series of questions, help couples to change their thinking and adopt new behavior. The goal of this therapy is to identify faulty thoughts and to challenge those thoughts with facts and reasons. It uses Socrates' method of questioning to challenge individuals' assumptions and faulty beliefs. Its three main goals are: one, help the couple to identify their wrong thinking; two, dispute the wrong thoughts; three, replace them with right thoughts. For example, a woman who thinks that all men are polygamous in nature and therefore her husband must cheat can be helped to change these thoughts. For there are some men who are still faithful to their wives. I think this thinking is common among many women today. I often hear that from married women. Somebody told me, Father, men must always cheat because that is how nature has wired them. That men will always have side chicks because they are polygamous in nature. Someone told me, Father, I don't even bother if my husband goes about sleeping with another woman. Men are always like that. I often hear that, but I keep on correcting women each time they say that. And that is what we are talking about here. when someone suffers crisis in her marriage with this kind of thought that men are polygamous in nature, they are dogs, they will always be sleeping around. As a marriage counselor or marriage educator, the first thing you do is to help the person correct these wrong thoughts. It is a wrong thought. It is a thinking. When the person begins to change this belief system, begins to change this mentality, you will see that you will help him or her to achieve success in her marriage. Okay, I'm ending the presentation here. I now allow us to react, to ask questions, to make comments, after which we go to the second presentation, which will be given by Dr. Celine Njoko. We can now talk about, we have 15 minutes to react, to ask our questions before the next presentation. If you want to speak, just raise your hand. I will give you the opportunity to speak. I can see Augustine. Augustine, please uh, unmute yourself and speak. If you wish, you can also you can
Thank
ask your
you so
question or
very
make your contribution in the chat, please. Augustine, go ahead.
Thank you so very much, Father, for that overview. I understand the three methodologies you explained now, but to some extent, the rational and the cognitive. In the rational, you brought up the issue of the thinking, which affects the action of either of the spouses. And then in the cognitive too, you brought up that. I didn't get the difference clearly, please.
Yes, very quickly. The difference is this: both of them dwell on human thoughts. Both of them acknowledge that wrong thinking can lead to crisis in marriage. But the difference lies in the approach of each of the counseling methods. The approach the rational emotive therapy uses is that you come an indirect way. You don't come direct as a counselor. You come indirect way in the sense that you allow the person who has these thoughts to say some of those thoughts. Okay. Now, what you now do is to help the person to have a positive thoughts. So you allow this person to come up, I am not loved, I am this, I am that. When the person is bringing up those thoughts, you come indirectly by helping him or her to have a different thoughts. That is on that one. But on the second one, the cognitive is this: you follow Socrates methods. Socrates method is a method whereby you probe somebody. In philosophy, it is called intellectual midwifery. Socrates believes that everyone is knowledgeable. So in order to help you come out with that knowledge inside you, Socrates prefers to ask you questions. So that is the method that marriage counselors use in this cognitive behavioral therapy. You come direct, you ask the person a series of questions. Okay, you say that you are not lovable, that nobody loves you, but your mother loves you, your children loves you. Okay, you say that men are polygamous in nature, but so person
what are you doing?
is faithful to his wife. So the second approach is that you come direct as a marriage counselor, you become confrontational, you uses the method of asking questions, and by so doing, you help the person to identify those wrong thoughts and you replace those wrong thoughts with the positive ones. That is a skill, a technique in counseling. While in the first one we mentioned, you just allow the person to, come up with those thoughts. You are not questioning, but you help the person to identify those thoughts, not by asking questions, okay? And when you do that, you begin to help the person to see it from the other side. It's not really what you are thinking that is the case, but it is the other way around. So the two are both about, both of them dwell on this thinking, but the approach differs. That's just the difference.
Thank you,
Okay.
Father.
God bless you. We have Abba Sheets. Abba, you are welcome. She's joining us from the UK for the first time. You can unmute yourself, Abba.
Okay. Thank you, Father. Can you hear me?
Perfectly well.
Okay, Father, thank you very much for this presentation. I am so my background is I have a master's degree in Catholic Applied Theology with a focus on marriage and family life. And I've worked with married couples and engaged couples for the past 7 years in the Portsmouth Diocese in England. I'm currently studying traumatology and PTSD and effective evidence-based trauma treatment. So this is a very interesting topic for me. What I wanted to ask was, when you work with couples and in these areas, recommending these different therapies, do you come to a point where you recognize you've hit a block that you can't go any further? And I ask this question because in trauma treatment, and I'm only a student, so correct me if I'm wrong, but in trauma treatment, what I've come to realize is that trauma treatment gets to the root of the problem. So for example, if the example you gave about a woman who is thinking all men are polygamous, and therefore in her thinking every man is a dog, blah, 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 could it be that such a person comes to therapy and the CBT or the RET are ineffective, and therefore there's clearly something more at play here? And it could be that this woman has been traumatized from her childhood, that her father was a player, her grandfather was a player, her great-grandfather was a player. So in her mind, there's been a constant repetition of behavior from men. And so in her mind, she cannot stop thinking that all men are dogs or all men are polygamous. Is my question clear?
Yes, I got your question. There is another marriage counseling method that can be used in this case, and that is called family structural therapy. In this therapy, the focus is on the structure of the family. The focus is on the roles each member of the family plays, which affects marriage, which affects success in marriage. And this method looks at the causes of the symbols, not just the symbol. For example, a child who is not doing well in school, the reason is because there is a trauma she or he experiences in the marriage, that the father beats the mother, they keep on fighting, it affects the child performance. Okay. In handling this issue, you look at the roles every member of the family plays. Are they playing their role well? That will not help to come out of this. That is a different method. What you said is correct. I'm not saying that these three marriage counseling theories exhaust you can use it to solve every marital crisis. No. Remember that I began with spirituality of a marriage counselor. And spirituality of the marriage counselor is this, that you as a marriage counselor, you have to be prayerful. You have to bring God at the center of what you do. Because there are times where you begin to counsel couples, it seems that you are not making progress because there are diverse issues. Issues can be spiritual and others. That is when you have to withdraw and let God take control, okay? So there are various theories. One uses a particular marriage counseling technique or method based on the crisis, the marital crisis he or she is facing. But above all, let God be at the center of your marriage counseling, because there are issues that can be solved only by prayer and not only by applying these marriage counseling theories. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Father. Father, do we get to have your slides after this?
Of course, both the slides and the video
Thank you
will be
very much.
sent.
Thank you.
Dr.
Thank you very
Celine
much. Thank you.
Joko, after you, Dr. Celine Joko, you are raising your hand. Let me
Yes,
go ahead,
please.
Dr. Celine Joko.
Okay, thank you very much, Father. Thank you, the contributors. I just want to add to what you have said, Father. Like this last speaker, when she finished, Father now was saying about family structure. We can also look at the stroke of birth of the individual. The stroke of birth of your wife, the stroke of birth of your husband can affect his or her emotions. As Father said, the REPT, theory of REPT, rational emotive behavior therapy. And that's where you see some people feeling irrational. Why me? Why must you ask why me? When you come face to face with disappointment, frustration, betrayal, Jesus never did. Why me? When Peter betrayed him, he didn't ask why me. So everything is possible under the sun. As a counselor, when you come face to face with clients or counselee who are asking that question, why me? Tell them they come out from irrational thoughts and start being rational. Anything can happen. That's one. Then somebody asks question about cognitive. That's from the head, from your brain. What you think about the issue. Most of the times, Father has already said all this thing. Your thinking is bad. Your analysis is bad. Your application is bad. Your reasoning is bad. Father said it. We have to go back to God. The fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Celine. Let me read the question from the chat before I go to Maria. Someone said that, is it a must to be charging the clients, couples, after the service? Because initially I thought this is a free service, especially for fellow Catholic clients. Honestly, I will tell you that we have private marriage counselors. Some of them do charge. Okay, so I'm not going to legislate that they should charge or they should not charge. That is, in fact, they are professionals, and many of these counselors spent money to learn, the art of marriage counseling. And when they charge you, I don't think it's bad. But for those of us that are priests, consecrated persons, we do ours as an apostolate, okay? It is what we are doing for the church as evangelization. But when you encounter one who charges, don't react or whatever, that is something different. So I'm not going to say you must charge or you must not charge. But what I say is that as professionals, it is good that if you are charging, let it be something moderate. Don't scare people away based on your charge or what. That's what I can say on that. Now, someone asks, is it possible to use two different methods to cancel a couple of crises? First of all, when marital crisis or conflict is being presented to you, you will know the methods, the technique to apply. Not just go and be missing everything. First of all, know what the problem is. Know the kind of couples you are counseling. And I advise, in fact, when I did my own training as a counselor, we were told that the first thing you do when a marriage conflict is presented to you, the first thing you do is to get the information of the couples. Don't just begin to cancel people you don't know. First of all, in fact, you have to create a form for them to fill. They tell you their name, where they are from, how many years they have been married, their children, get concrete information about them. It's going to help you to know them better, that you may assist them. Okay. Now, it will not help you to know the method you are going to apply. Are you going to apply the family structure therapy, or the RETS, or cognitive and other theories? There is emotive one, the one that focuses on love. So yes, you can use more than one theory, of course. But first of all, understand the situation, know the technique to apply, then you can, as it progresses, you can use another method. That is how you will be progressing. I think that's all about the question in the chat. Okay, someone has responded. You can use multiple methods to achieve results if it be. Sometimes one method may not get the needed results. That's correct. What will be your final decision when couple is assaulting each other to a point of threat to life? My dear, once threat to life is concerned, involve the police. Once threat to life is concerned, involve the police. When a man is beating his wife to the extent that there is threat of life, let the police be involved. This is important. And when a woman tells you that she can't walk out of the marriage because of there is she so much love the man, this, that, you have to follow the canon law. Okay, and that's why I said earlier, a Catholic marriage counselor should know what the church teaches. You don't only apply these theories, understand what the church teaches and make use of the teachings of the church. So once life is concerned and the spouse is not ready to leave the marriage or whatever, of course, marriage, once it is validly celebrated, cannot be dissolved. There is separation, okay? And separation is not that the marriage is over, no, but because of the threat of life, you separate. Once it is urgent, you can separate on your own. But if it is not urgent, you approach your bishop. The bishop will now guide you, give you the permission, the right procedure steps to follow in separating. Like I said again, threat to life is not something you should joke with, please. The next question says, okay, how will you counsel people who are attending your pre-marriage class and two of them cannot agree, always quarreling, even when the wedding has not been done? For me, it is a red flag, marriage has not been done and they are quarreling. I even asked you to tell them not to proceed with the marriage. They should give themselves time to understand each other. That quarreling means that they need to understand themselves well. For me, I will advise that you, as a pre-marriage counselor, advise them to hold on, that they may be able to resolve necessary conflicts and know if they are compatible. The quarreling could be a sign that they are not compatible. And once they are not compatible, don't advise them to continue with the marriage. All right, that should be all. Okay, we take Maria. After Maria, we move to the second presentation. Maria, you can unmute yourself.
Okay, Father, thank you for the opportunity and for the enlightenment in terms of marriage counseling. I'm speaking from UK. In a situation where you have clients that do not actually believe in God or not even like to hear about God, how will you counsel those individuals?
Yes.
I'm making reference now because the person that spoke before said, "Oh, you invite God and you tell them about God," but in this scenario now, they don't want to hear anything about God. So how will you go about that?
Yes. I will say that you, as a professional counselor, We are talking about professional counseling now. We are not talking about quack or roadside counseling. As a professional counselor, one of the first things you should do is to respect your clients. Respect his or her belief. If he or she tells you that he or she doesn't believe in God, you can decide not to continue with the counseling and ask them to look for someone else. You can do that, okay? That is one. Then two, if they are not, the crisis they are having, you have made use of many theories and something is not working, you want to bring God, they say no, they don't want about God. My dear, refer them to another counselor. For the fact that you're a marriage counselor does not mean that you know it all. Some people can come to me and they tell me about issues that are more psychological. I refer them to a psychologist. We have one in the forum, a specialist. I refer them to her. So you can refer them to another counselor that you may not go and do anything that will compromise your faith in God. That's what I can say. You can refer them. You mustn't solve the problem of every couple who comes to you. Okay? Okay, we want to move to the next presentation. Every other question should come after the second presentation, please. Maria and Abashid, let your question now come after the second presentation because the second presentation has to do with conflict resolution. Probably the second speaker will also talk about some of these, okay? Let it come at the end of conflict resolution. Dr. Celine, are you ready? Should I share your slides?
Yes, Father, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here, please. I don't know. Okay, Father, can you hear me? Good evening,
Yes.
everyone.
Begin.
Okay. Thank you, Father and the house, for giving me this opportunity. Today, it's in marriage. Introduction. Humans are different from animals. Please be thinking about this topic, conflicts. I can be in conflict in myself because I'm made up of positive and negative. So where two of them are not agreeing down, then my whole body will have conflict. Humans are different from animals because of their levels of control. Animals respond to instincts. Why humans control their instincts? You can see it there. Animals. If you ever watch Nigeria Wild, you will see highly evasive, highly irritant. When one jumps on the other one wants to revenge. We are not like them. We apply control. That's why we are humans. Animals respond to instincts, while humans control their instincts. Human beings found in marriage, family institution, go into relationships with high expectations. And if they are not met, conflict results. Yes, I want to marry wife. I want to marry a husband with high expectations. Whereby, according to what Father said, they are not getting all these rational behaviors. Conflict ensures. Inability to control their disagreeable emotions in marriage also leads to conflict. And this calls for the assistance of the counselor to reduce irrational fears and disturbing behavior, resolve conflicts, improve interpersonal relationships through bridge building. In your marriage, you have to build the bridge. Let there be no gap. Build the bridge. See, when you enter into marriage relationship, it's for matured people. Don't go and tell us, hey, I'm 14 years old. That's why I gave my husband a knock on the head. No. Once you enter that marital relationship, you have been to the altar. No going back. You have to comport yourself. You have to be matured.
Please, many of us can see the slides.
Yes, please, the slide is being shared. Please go ahead. I'm working on it.
All right, thank you.
If anxiety, thank you, Father. If anxiety and anger, the most commonly destructive, are controlled, less conflicts in marriage instruction will be experienced in our domestic church. There are times within any relationship when there will be some conflicts. However, it may be helpful to learn how to resolve conflicts in marital relationship so it doesn't escalate when this may not be necessary. You need to nip it to the bud. I hope everyone is wearing the cloak of marriage. Permit me to ask us to define the concepts. What is conflict? Conflict is the opposite of cooperation. People against one another or values. Once there is opposition, conflict comes in. And what is conflict in marriage? When it comes to conflict situations in a marriage, this indicates disagreement and strife within the relationship. You may not see eye to eye about certain things or have issues you must work out with each other. That's conflict in marriage. Don't ever allow it to get to that level where there will be malice, where the man will be cooking for himself, the woman will be cooking for herself. We get all these things day by day. And these people, they end up in terminal diseases. Let's go. What is conflict resolution in marriage? This is when the couples achieve control, which involves planned. They have to plan it. Remember, if you want peace, you go for war. War does not mean to fight. You have to plan it. You have to sacrifice. Systematic, integrated, and usually long-time strategies that take care of crisis prevention and dispute resolution. And what is dispute? What is dispute? Dispute is the tangible expression of conflicts. Before I go further, when people are in conflict, you may not know, unless you put your eyes down. But when they are in dispute, you will know. This couple, this one will sit on the other side, the other one will sit in the north. That's dispute. But two of them may sit together. They are undergoing conflict. You will not know. So dispute is the tangible expression of conflict. Dispute manifests when the means employed by one party to protect or further an interest are perceived to be antagonistic by the other party or parties. Let's go for the differences. Conflict exists everywhere and is tangible. Siblings have conflicts. Identical twins have conflicts. Couples have conflicts. Where you work, there are conflicts. Even individuals, you have conflict within yourself to be or not to be. To be in this gathering or not to be in this gathering. You are undergoing conflicts. Conflict cannot be eradicated. It can be managed, which means the conflict in marriage you see or you are perceiving, you are undergoing, and you are shouting, lullaby, lullaby, what is happening, what is happening? You can manage it. You can't eradicate it. Because these are two human beings coming from two different centers of origin to center of procreation. That's marriage. You are not the same. Even if you are the same, there must be conflict. I don't want it. I want it. Conflict exists everywhere and is intangible. Disputes are tangible, expressions of conflict. You can see it, you can feel it. They are experiential. Disputes can be prevented or resolved. Conflict is managed by preventing or resolving disputes. Dispute analysis help in understanding conflicts. According to Abigail Adams, 1774 to 1818, I have always felt that a person's intelligence is directly reflected by the number of conflicting points of view he can entertain simultaneously on the same topic. Yes, if you are able to handle many things at the same time, you are wise. You have that intelligence, you have that emotional intelligence. If you are able to manage people's spirituality and your own spirituality, you have that spiritual intelligence. So it's possible. Then what is marriage? Marriage is a union of two different individuals, the male and the female, coming from two different centers of origin to center of procreation, to live finally, to live permanently, till death do them parts. There must be male and the female coming together in union of love. That's marriage. It's a relationship. Just like the Trinity is a relationship. God confirmed it in the Old Testament when he created Adam and Eve. He saw two of them. He created Adam first. The thing is that when you decide to deviate from God's plan, you start having this conflict. Not only conflict, disputes. God created Adam first. And then he asked Adam to name them. Adam named them and never gave a smile. He knew what Adam wanted. He sent Adam to sleep. And Adam slept. He picked the rib, not at the back, not on the leg, but beside, and covered it. Adam woke up around 4 a.m. and jumped up and sang the first love song. At last, here is one of my own kind. That was the genesis of marriage in the beginning. So God waited for Eve to come up. Every man, every husband should wait for their husband, for their wife. How many of you wait for your wives when you are going to church, when you are going out together? They don't wait. They are impatient. God waited for Eve to rise. Because this same woman will enter the bedroom with face soap, body soap, face towel, body towel. This same woman will finish bathing and we have face cream, body cream. God waited for all these things for her to rise. This same woman will put on underwear. We put on another one, tie wrapper, the first one, the second layer, the blouse to match with the tie, the bag to match with the earrings. God waited. Men don't. These are conflicts. When you sit down and ruminate, that's rationality in marriage. That woman is not like you. You're that woman is a female. You're a male. You just come out from the bedroom, you comb your hair, you may not even rub Vaseline. You are okay. But that woman, from the origin, God waited for her to rise. So, why is it important to resolve conflicts? We have to resolve it, if nothing else, because of your health, so that you will live long. There are a few reasons why you should try your best to resolve conflicts. One is that it can allow you to change as an individual. For instance, if you have a conflict with your partner and you can talk about issues that arise, it might allow you to change how you act. Can you sit down a moment, discuss this thing? Even if your husband or your wife is evasive, give him time. You are not coming from the same origin. Give him time. Give her time. Another reason is that you can improve your relationship with your mates when you can work things out. If you cannot get through arguments effectively, this can lead to major problems within your relationship, which you can likely want to avoid. See, marriage is not easy. Don't go and ask the ordained priest. Is it easy to be a priest? Is it easy to be a religious? you work hard towards it. If you want things to be good, if you want to be in first class, you work hard to make it. 10 silly mistakes to avoid when resolving conflict in marriage. What are they? Staying mad. Go and ask them, I don't tolerate nonsense. That's staying mad. Silly mistake. Number 2, making more conflicts, creating more conflicts out of nothingness. What is it that is causing the problem now? It could be suspicion. It could be your thinking. Father has already said this thing. From your cognitive, it could be your reasoning. No. The third one I've said, the third one, trying to win. I must win. My own is the best. My own argument, my own opinion. Don't be self-opinionated. Allow him to talk. Allow her to talk. Put it on the table. Emotional intelligence. Blaming your mates. There should be no blame game. There should be no blame game. All these things come up as a result of maybe from where you're coming from. If I don't defend myself now, it will look as if I don't know what I'm doing. No. Number 5, not paying attention is another silly mistake. Please, can we pay attention small? Permit me to mention name. Father Olaito once said that the significant difference between those people in the old and now is because those people in the old, they pay attention. They were able to listen. We don't listen. Number 6, not compromising. Something else that you should consider as one of your top conflict resolution goals is to start compromising. Number 7, not talking. You must talk. You must talk. You must give signs. It could be verbal or non-verbal. Number 8, keeping it bottled up. One day it will explode. Out now. This is marriage. Talk it out now. Let people know. Let your partner know what you have in mind. Ignoring the issue. That one does not concern you, John. Especially this age of phone. The man is carrying the phone. The woman is on the phone. Children are on the phone. To your tent, oh Israel. If they ignore issues, ignore eating, ignore some of these etiquettes. Thank you. Excuse me. Please. I am sorry. Ignoring problems. Why did the children come back late yesterday? The housemaid came in and reported. And no attention given to it. These are silly mistakes. What are the marital strategies in resolving conflicts? There are several strategies to consider when you want to resolve conflicts. And there are many of them. Some of these strategies are resolving conflict requires talking to each other. Please try to talk to the other person. If nothing else, marriage is instituted by God. Of all the human institutions, it's only marriage family that God came down and instituted. Talk to each other. Resolving conflict requires thinking about what each person said. What did he say yesterday? He said that his breakfast was hot, which means I have to make it earlier. Resolving conflict requires finding common ground. Get a level ground. Resolving conflict requires walking through all issues. You start thinking what happened during the day. Why did he leave the house in arrears? Why did my wife not talk to me? Try to think about these things. If you actually want peace, resolving conflict requires knowing, accepting, and adjusting to your differences. Try to adjust, try to shift, try to bend so that the other